Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your good governance and corporate social responsibility subject. This is still your instructor, Mr. Trip Anthony A. Ramos, and for this session, what we will be talking about is the moral principle, which is human dignity in the priority of labor over capital. Okay, so let's start our discussion for this lesson by going back to the what we call as the four M's of management. Okay, so as we were able to discuss, or as you were able to discuss during your principles of management course before, we all know that if we're talking about management or if we're talking about business management or administration, you have four M's. So that's actually your material resources, your machine, methods, management, and other. Actually, it goes beyond four M's. But again, so our primary focus is actually the one M that we're talking about, and that is man. So again, if we're talking about the M's of your management, that can be your material resources, your machine, your methods, management, and even money. Okay, so if we're talking about your business or if we're talking about our organization or institution, it is imperative for us to make sure that all of these M's are actually being taken care of. Okay, so from its planning up until to the evaluation of your project in your own in your own business or in your own organization, you must be able to take that into consideration. But again, once you already take this course, the good governance and corporate social responsibility, you must always remember that in all of the M's that are indicated in your business management or in your organizational context, definitely the one that must actually being prioritized should be your man. And later on, okay, we will know why is it important for us to treat man or the human person as something that is the superior over this other M's. Okay, so we will start discussing this. So all right, so let's continue. So let's first take a look into what business factors create wealth. Okay, so providers of capital, or also known as your shareholders or stockholders, lay claim to most wealth that corporations create or generate. Okay, so definitely, as we all know, those who actually provide the capital, they actually lay the claim to most wealth that corporations create or generate. So most of this wealth, most of the profit, again, these are actually being laid down to your shareholders or to your stockholders, because simply put, they provide the capital for this one. Okay, so human resource, or also known as labor, is also called as your human capital, and human knowledge is known as the intellectual capital. And take note, without this human resource, without this labor, or without what we call as the human capital, there's no such thing as wealth. Okay, simply because if you won't be able to utilize this human capital, if you will not be able to utilize your human resources, things will not roll into your business. Okay, so let me give you an example. So say for example, you created an institution, you created a business in which you will be selling products. Do you think you will be able to generate profit? You will be able to generate wealth without someone who is managing it, without someone who is creating the product, or without someone who will coordinate things from planning up until evaluating? Definitely, the answer would be things will not roll without this. Okay, because we will be needing in all forms or in all parts of your business management, human resource or your labor is very important. Again, because without your human capital, without the talents, without the skills, without the things that are actually being given by your employees, or by even by your superiors or even the managers, things will not roll if these things are absent. Okay, businesses goes well if actually you have your well managed human resource. If, say for example, you were delegated the task efficiently, you can already expect that your business will also be able to do efficient things. You will be able also to have this efficient processes, and you will have the efficient things going on with your organization or with your business. All right. So let's go ahead now and continue as we go ahead and answer the question, where did all material capital come from? Okay, so since we're talking about the material capitals already, so we must be able to take into consideration where does it come from? Okay, so that we will be able to utilize it in a manner in which it can be deemed to be efficient. Okay, so in philosophical terms, all capital is apparently the result of the historical heritage of human labor. So it means that the human labor gave birth to capital. So let me give an emphasis to this statement. It's simply because without human labor, or without the skills, the knowledge, or the capabilities of humans, there will be no such thing as capital. All of these things, okay, all of the things which revolve into your businesses or into your institution or organization will always boil down, and it will always be rooted from the human labor. Again, to reiterate, there is no such thing as business, there is no such thing as processes if there is no human labor, because the human labor will definitely the thing which will keep the business running. Okay, so without this human labor, a business, an organization, or an institution will have a hard time in sustaining and in maintaining their processes and their production. All right. So it has also been said that all inanimate capital, which comprises of your money, your technology, your resources, your machines, your factories, laboratories, and computers, okay, are being inherited from the past and the present. Whether the most primitive or the most advanced technology, they are actually the result from the diligent labor of the human person. That's according to Leo the 13th in 1891. So again, let me keep on repeating this, that things just like your technology, your resources, your machines, factories, laboratories, and computers, they are product of human labor. Without the diligence of the humans, without the diligence of your man, or without the diligence of each of the members of different sectors, definitely such thing will not be able to be developed. Okay, so the moment that the first computer was actually created, it was from the genuinity of a human. Okay, so without the skills, without the talents of the humans, definitely such thing will not be created. Okay, so another example will be your laboratories. So in different laboratories, be it in the medical field, be it in the industrial field, they will not work if not because of the humans. Okay, so in a factory, as we all know, even though that we have machines, even though that we have computers, humans are still relevant. Why? Because they are using their talents, they are using their capabilities, which they garner from their experiences, from their education. So they are being used and utilized in order for it to work efficiently. Okay, so even your resources and your technology, they are being allocated, or they are being used in a manner in which it is efficient simply because of the knowledge of the humans. Without the knowledge of the humans, technology and even resources will not be allocated to the things or to the situations where it is needed most. Okay, so as we also know, technology from the earlier times, it was actually not developed into an advanced one. Okay, it started as a primitive one, and because of the knowledge of different persons, and with the growing educational system of our society, it keeps on improving from time to time. Let me give you an example. Before, you do not need a machine, or you do not need computers to make your processes efficiently, because the capabilities of computers are actually limited. But nowadays, as you will notice in different organizations or in different businesses, it is imperative now for you to have computers, and it will be deemed to be advantageous for you if you will have digitalization among your organization or institution. Why? Because our technology now is much better compared to what we had before. Okay, so from the Excels, in which you can compute efficiently without doing this manually, of course, it will save you time, it will save you effort, and it will save you energy. Let me give you another example, your PowerPoint presentations. Gone were the days wherein you will actually present in using different visual aids manually, like say for example using Manila paper in terms of education. Now all you have to do is to create a PowerPoint presentation, and then there you go. You can already present to your bosses, to your clients, and even in our sense, we as your instructors, we can give you lessons by actually projecting to you a PowerPoint presentation just like what I'm using as of the moment. Okay, so let me reiterate this. It's the human labor that gave birth to capital. And again, without this human labor, definitely the advancements of technology, the advancements of your machines, your factories, laboratories, and computers will not occur. Okay? It will always boil down to human labor. Okay, so did Abraham Lincoln ever say that capital is the fruit of labor? So let's answer that question. So in his 1859 annual address before the Wisconsin State Agricultural Society and repeated in his 1861 State of the Union message before the U.S. Congress or the United States Congress, Lincoln said that the capital is the fruit of labor and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. That labor can exist without capital, but that capital could never have existed without labor. Hence, they hold that labor is the superior. Much better if we will be saying that greatly the superior of all the capital, which has been said in 1859. Okay? So simply put, so Abraham Lincoln, or the U.S. president, the former U.S. president, mentioned that labor will always take precedence over other capital, such as your machines. Because again, let me repeat that, that if labor had not first existed, there will be no capital. But labor alone can actually stand without this capital. Labor can actually exist without having your capital. Okay, so with that being said, it is indeed that it did correct to term that labor is superior compared to the capital. Okay, so now, is labor the means to economic development? So according to Mehrotra and Jolly in 1998, the human person is not the means to be used in economic development. The other way is true. That is, the economic development is a means for the total development of the human person. As we keep on discussing from our previous discussions or from our previous lessons, we all know that we are doing business simply because we would want to develop the entirety of the human persons, part of the business or the organizations, right? So as we go along the way, again, the human person is not the means to be used in economic development. It is not the economic development that we are after. Why we are doing business? We are doing business. We are doing things which are related to our business simply because we would want to develop the entirety of the human person and not the vice versa. Because again, to reiterate this, economic development shall only be part of the total development of the human person. It will always take precedence, the total development of the human person. It will always take precedence over other developments. It's simply because the human person is the one who possesses dignity and not your business alone. Okay? So again, let me repeat that. So economic development will only be part of the total development of the human person. But the most important thing to do for you, say for example, being the future manager or future owner of a business or an enterprise, it is important for you to always remember that the most important thing is to uphold the human dignity of each and every member of your organization or your business. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. So is the spirit superior over matter? So according to John Paul II in Centesimus Annus in 1991, so he emphasizes the priority of ethics over technology, the primacy of the person over things, and the superiority of spirit over matter. It's simply because, just like we keep on telling from our previous slides, the human dignity will always take precedence over any other things. Your spirit will always be superior over other matters. And just like what Pope John Paul II mentioned, it is actually our obligation to take and to treat the person as something which is primary over other things. Persons are much important compared to your machines. Persons are more important compared to your technologies, so on and so forth. Okay? So simply put, if we are talking about person, that guy or that girl will always take precedence over other things. So in the context of business, there is no more important or the most important entity or concept in a business or an organization will always be your persons or members of your business. Okay, so it has also been said that it is good business when employers learn to accept the truth that every single worker is a human person and that is sublime dignity is God-given. If we will be able to take note of this, definitely, I'm quite sure that businesses will be able to develop such things or such measures in which it will always give the employees or the workers the things that they do deserve. Okay, so as future employers, maybe someday as future business owners, I would want each and every one of you to realize that every single worker has a human dignity that must be upheld. No matter the situation is, no matter the mistakes are, definitely I would want you to remember that so that you'll be able to develop what we call as a good business. Okay. So how is human dignity preserved among our migrant workers or OFWs? So guys, me being a son of an OFW, I can say that it is unfortunate that overseas or migrant workers, which we consider as modern day heroes, they are actually considered to be prone to all sorts of exploitation by the employers. When you say exploitation, it can vary from one concept into another. Let me give you an example. We all know that in terms of the capacity or the capabilities of our Filipino workers, they are at par with the best ones. However, since we are actually not part of their culture or not part of their nationality, commonly these OFWs are being considered to be low class compared to their what we call as the kababayan. Okay, so we most of the OFWs are being exploited, not only by not only in terms of sexual harassments, but even in actually in exploiting their capabilities. Most of them are actually working for several hours. Most of them, most especially what we call as the helpers, the domestic helpers, which are deemed to be very helpful in different households. There are stories in which they are not being given the break that they deserve. Not unlike their what they call as the kababayan, definitely they are being benefits which are actually considered to be helpful and important to such employee. Okay, so again, how these are being preserved, and definitely as we all know, it's our government institution and even our kababayans who are helping their fellow OFWs. Okay, but again, in order for us to address this, it must start within themselves, and then they create a system in which definitely they will be heard, and hopefully someday they will be already considered as on equal footing with other workers. Okay, so is there a more philosophical understanding of human dignity? So the best concept must definitely ascribe to the human person a worth without an equal and an assessment that is priceless. Because if you will be giving a person a prize, or you will be giving a person, say for example, a tag, you say for example, you are being tagged as someone who is at value of 1,000 pesos, definitely things will not be given priority, or you will not be given an equal opportunity since you already have a tag. So the best concept to do this is to actually describe a person without an equal price, or as we all know, we can term it as priceless. Okay? So why is the idea of Imago Dei relevant to human labor? So as we discuss the idea of Imago Dei, so take note that Imago Dei is the Latin term for the image and the likeness of God. I'm quite sure that at some point or another, we already heard a term or a statement which tells us that we are created in the image of God, right? So that the image of God and the likeness of God in us is our spiritual nature, our intelligence, and our free will. So simply put, since we are created in the image and the likeness of God, we do deserve to be given priority. We do deserve to be given the respect that we truly must have. All right. So what should be the appropriate assessment of human labor in trade and industry? So the agenda of business should express a deliberate commitment by all to feel the pain and agony of people who do not live in the dignity of the human person. We cannot push free trade for free trade's sake. Our objective is to improve the quality of life, especially that of the poor. That is according to chairman of the ASEAN Chamber of Commerce, Jose Concepcion Jr. in 1996. So simply put, again, you are doing the assessment or you are doing your human labor simply because you would want to improve the quality of life. Okay? So what is a more sublime paradigm of the human dignity? So the concept of labor of human dignity is that of the divine image. And that is the concept of labor is possible regardless of various beliefs or religion or even affiliations. Okay? So by his labor, the human worker honors the gifts and talents he received from the Creator. And lastly, should the priority of labor over capital at the heart of business? The answer is a big yes, because this moral principle should be at the very heart, okay, or of every business where labor is always the primary efficient cost, while capital, the whole collection of means of production, remains a mere instrument or instrumental cost. And that's it for our discussion about the moral principle, the human dignity, and the priority of labor over capital. Let me grab the opportunity again to thank everyone, and I hope to see each and every one of you on our succeeding meetings. Thank you. And if you still have questions or clarifications, please do drop it on the comment box below. Thank you, everyone.